Hi everyone, I'm Doina Bade and I'm from Romania where I co-founded last year the first farmed animal sanctuary, Nima Sanctuary. Nima is one of the first cows we rescued and basically she inspired us into creating this sanctuary. So I have a question to start with. How many of you in this room are activists? I assume everyone. Thank you. And on behalf of the sanctuary residents, our rescued cows, I need to thank each and every one of you for your activist work, because as far as we see it, it's the creation of the first sanctuary in Romania is a result of everyone's activist work, among other good things. We did a little research and we asked our visitors, majority of them being vegan activists, what they think about it. And 87% of them thought that it's everybody's activist work that led to the creation of the first farm animal sanctuary in Romania. Because back in 2011, I was a vegetarian, doing volunteer work in dog shelters, rescuing stray dogs and cats. And then on October 4th, 2011, the International Animals Day, a group of local activists organized an Earthlings documentary public projection. I could not attend it at that time, but their message was extremely powerful and persuasive, and it really got me Googling Earthlings on the internet that same night and kept me watching it until the end, and it turned me vegan instantly. And by January 2018, so 7 years later, almost, when a local dairy farmer approached me and asked me if I could possibly help him relocate some of the cows because he was closing the dairy farm, I was ready to go further out of my comfort zone and engage into this rescue, which eventually turned into the creation of Nima Sanctuary. And it was something that I personally and other people like activists and vegan from Romania, we didn't dream of before. We thought it's impossible. It will happen in another decade or so. And once it happened, once the sanctuary was created, it became more than a sanctuary for animals. It became some sort of pilgrimage destination for a lot of people, the majority of them being animal rights activists, vegan activists. And you can see here some of the photos and how they interact with the animals. And 60% of them, they see the sanctuary as the tangible result of their own work and efforts, in the place to return to each time they lose their drive or motivation or energy in promoting and defending animal rights, because we all know how hard it is, and how hard it is to see the immediate and tangible results of your work. It's basically a story about how a very small sanctuary, which only hosts 11 cows and steers at this moment, proved to be a pillar of strength and optimism, not only for me, but for other people in Romania, all of us fighting at many levels and in many ways for animals. And I'm talking about strict activism, social media activism, events organization, protest, direct rescue, volunteering, political lobby, education, investigation, and filmmaking, those being the main fields of activism cited by our visitors. And as for me, I have a 10 years history of rescue and activism work before I set up Nima Sanctuary, such as thousands of volunteer hours in local dog shelters, and organizing and attending protests, direct rescue actions, and I did a lot of charity and fundraising events for other organizations. And I fostered like hundreds rescue dogs and cats. And back in 2016, I set up a vegan foundation in Romania to promote the veganism and the vegan lifestyle. And I also set up a German organization where I can it's basically my tool to rehome my rescue dogs and cats to German homes. I organized the first 269 life event in Romania back in 2013, where I got my own 269 tattoo right here on the ear, and many others. So that's all in a field, like animal rights and protection, which lacks any support from or interest from the Romanian authorities. And to give you a little bit of insight, Romania is a country where streets, fields, and forests are roaming, literally with abandoned dogs and cats. Every time you drive to your work, to the supermarket, to visit a friend, you see, 10, 100 animals, depending on the distance. And where cruelty towards animals constantly goes unpunished by authorities, there have been many cases of cruelty and abuse which were exposed by the media, but eventually nobody gets punished, and where most people still treat animals, and I mean all animals, including dogs and cats, like objects, not beings. And the day-to-day life can be a struggle in this country if you have a heart for animals, not to mention if you're committed to change things and dedicate your time and energy to rescue and activism. It's hard to see the results and see the actual change in your lifetime. So, in the 9 months which passed between my first visit in the dairy farm and the moment the rescued cows first stepped foot in the sanctuary, I really been in my worst physical, mental, and emotional state because I was so frustrated about the appalling condition in which the farm animals had to live, and I had to witness that, and I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't, comment and upset the dairy farmer. I had to, be quiet and smiling and do my best to take the cows out. And about the European legislation, which, in case you didn't know, does not allow a rescued farm animal to travel to a sanctuary abroad. It's something we really need to change in the future because in Europe, a cow or another farmed animal can only travel from a European country to another only if it comes from a farm, an authorized farm from inter-European commerce, and it travels for breeding, production, and slaughter. So basically, you cannot take a rescue cow from Romania and relocate her into a German sanctuary, for example. Or if you have a medical condition which you cannot treat in Romania, you cannot take her to a clinic in Austria, for example. And it's really, they are animals, and they should be able to travel like dogs, cats, and horses are able to travel in Europe. I was also very frustrated about not finding a single place in Romania where my rescued cows could live a beautiful and protected life as loved and respected beings in their own terms. I spent months looking for such a place and I couldn't find any. And I was also so frustrated and sad about how incredibly difficult it was to save the life of a cow with a broken leg. One of the cows, Nima, who inspired the name of the sanctuary, had broken her leg in the farm, and I learned at that moment that all other cows with this medical condition ended up in slaughterhouses in Romania, and no vet in Romania knew how to treat surgically her leg, and it was such a race against time because the fracture was deteriorating, and we eventually got some medical advice from Austria and France and Belgium in order to treat her. So I was constantly hearing, it's not possible, it cannot be done, no one did that before, no, 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 no. So it was quite stressful and depressing, and it really put me in a bad place. And I was depressed and tired and drained and burned out and sad and heartbroken, and not to mention the tons of gray hair I've got those months and the stress-related weight I put on. And to be honest, it's the support of my husband and my large furry family that kept me, alive and sane during those months. And a bit of my area stubbornness and fixation on achieving my goals and delivering, freedom and the best care to these animals, which I rescued and whom I love, deeply and irrevocably since the moment I met them. And just like me at that time, 70% of the activists who visit our sanctuary were in a quite dark place, just before their first visit. Tired, exhausted, and in a very bad state are the most cited physical and mental states people were in before their first sanctuary visit. But it's important to state, however, that people visiting the sanctuary for the second or third time, or who have visited before other sanctuaries in other countries, reported arriving in much better spirits, knowing already by now what the sanctuary experience would be for them, like uplifting and good experience. So they say they arrived okay, good, and delighted. It was the general use of words. But let me come back to mid-October 2018, when in the course of the few days, I welcomed home in Nima Sanctuary the first 6 rescue cows and steers, and I witnessed their first steps here, their curiosity and self-confidence developing. I've seen their forgiveness and their tolerance, and I could see their love and affection growing by each and every day, not only towards each other, but also towards us, our human friends. And in one word, I witnessed that happiness. And I have a career in law and asset management, but I was quite passionate about, in my youth, about philosophy and psychology. And I mean no offense to anyone, but I've learned more about commitment, love, forgiveness, tolerance, selflessness, tranquility, and generally being a better person from these rescued cows in the past 11 months than from all the books I read and all the people I talked to in my whole life. And I asked our sanctuary visitors, the majority of them vegan activists, what did they find here? And their words are uplifting. They found normality, a dream world, happy animals, heaven, tranquility, peace, balance, magic animals, tolerance, hope, freedom, love, good energy, life. And I find it amazing, and I'm curious to see those of you who visited the sanctuary, did you find the same place, the same things in your visits? Yeah? And we have a clear philosophy in dealing with and caring for them. And we work very hard to achieve this goal. Uh, the goal is providing them with a stress-free environment and the best possible care, and basically respect at all times their rights to freedom, dignity, integrity, family, and happiness. And we try to build trustful and respectful relationship with each sanctuary resident in their own terms, not ours. And this is how an old cow who has been abused for her entire life by the dairy industry and who was too scared and traumatized to allow me to get any closer to, from 3 meters from her, is now overwhelming me and everyone in the sanctuary with her love and affection. And she cares for us like, we are members of her family and herd, and she trusts us with everything and anything. And her name is Indra, teaches all of us the true meaning of love, tolerance, and forgiveness. And this is how an orphaned young calf who would not allow you to touch him turned into a playful teenager now, playing pranks on us on a daily basis and showering us with kisses. And Braduț is his name, he teaches all of us that we can leave a trauma behind and allow ourselves to blossom and be happy, to escape, the cage of the past and enjoy the present and look at the world with wonder. And this is how a sad and depressed bull who lived alone in a box for many years purely reinvented himself into an undisputed herd leader who is incredibly dedicated, protective, and committed to his family. And his name is Hector, is a living example for us of responsibility and dedication, of putting others before ourselves in difficult times. And basically, each sanctuary resident teaches us something about humanity and its values, and about turning our lives around and becoming better, stronger person. Actually, what you see here is basically our sanctuary residents, and their messages are inspired by their personalities and life stories. You just have to be there with them and watch them, not only with your eyes, but also with your heart and your mind. And basically, their beauty and strength and simplicity and honesty can shine a light even in the darkest corner of one's soul. So there's no wonder to me to receive this feedback from visitors when I ask them to describe the effects the visit and the animals had on them during their stay in their sanctuary. And they said they filled with hope and joy. It was energizing, gave me power to go on. I found my inner peace. I regained my balance. I regained my trust and optimism. I feel healed. It was a cure for the soul. It's therapy, it's happiness, inspiration, finding myself again. I felt free and I could disconnect from the ugly outside world. I felt reassured in my work and its effect. I felt recharged. And because I have 2 day jobs and a large furry family at home, like over 30 adopted and rescued dogs and cats, I cannot stay full time in the sanctuary. But each minute and each hour I spend there makes me feel just the same every day. And to me, it's so amazing and magical what effect the rescue cows have on me. And I'm so grateful to them for every time I step foot in the sanctuary on the pasture. It's like entering an oasis of peace, of tranquility, and mutual understanding and respect and honesty. The place and the animals simply burst of positive energy, and that's in fact the only explanation I find for staying energized, motivated, and acceptably healthy with my overall workload of 12 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that is what the sanctuary visitors say as well. When they leave the sanctuary, they say they feel much better, happy, recharged, motivated, stronger, healed and replenished, relief from stress and bad energy, and determined. And keep in mind that there's no licensed counselor there, and there's no animal assisted therapy program. It's just you, yourself, and the animals who, if they choose to do so, will interact with you or will allow you to interact with them. Of course, all this while observing our house rules with respect to interacting with the animals, because we have our set of rules, and we make sure that the animals always have the right to decide and to act as they please in the sanctuary. Is their home, and I guess that's the beauty of it, simply witnessing them being free and proud and self-conscious and happy. And by expecting nothing, you always get something, and sometimes big problems can have simple solutions. Because we turn this world into a big problem, and I don't have to remind anyone in this room about the injustice, atrocities, and murders committed in each and every corner of the world as we speak. And many of you witness that and have to talk about it every day as activists. You may not notice the change all the time and the tangible results of your work, yet it exists, and it can find some of it living peacefully in the sanctuary, in any sanctuary. So whenever you're feeling down or lost, try and spend time in a sanctuary. At least at Nima, activists are always welcome, and there's no accommodation or meal cost. It's our way of saying thank you for your work and your awesome work, and let the animals give you back some of the good energy and motivation to go on, because they're here alive and happy thanks to all of you. So please never forget that. Thank you.